Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I will call to order our Brevard City Council regular meeting of Tuesday, January 20th. And I just want to welcome everybody that has joined us in person, as well as everybody who is watching the live stream. It's wonderful to be starting the new year, 2026. And I want to start tonight by introducing everybody that is sitting up on the dais. To my far right is our city attorney, Mac McKellar. Next to Mac is Councilman Lauren Wise. Next to Lauren is Councilwoman Pamela Holder. Next to Pamela is Councilman Aaron Baker, and he is also the Mayor Pro Tem. I am Mayor Maureen Koploff. Let's see if I can remember who I am. Yes. To my immediate left is the City Clerk, Denise Hodgson. Next to Denise is Councilman Gary Daniel. Next to Gary is Councilman Dean Lytle. And next to Dean is our City Manager, Wilson Hooper. Okay. With that, I would like to ask Pastor Andrew Crimmins from St. Timothy United Methodist Church if he would give the invocation tonight.
Thank you for the invitation. Let us pray. God of light and love, we pause now to reflect on the gift of life, of community, and the gift of good and faithful leadership. I thank you for these leaders gathered here and ask that you give them wisdom and grace to carry out their roles faithfully. Bless them as they strive to serve and to lead. We thank you for this community that we call home here at Brevard. And we ask that it be entrusted to every person that lives here, that we might all work to increase the love, the kindness, and the justice in our city. We pause to remember those in our community that we believe are closest to your heart, O God. The least of these, those in these frigid temperatures that don't have enough shelter, those without enough food, those without enough justice, those without health or enough health care, those without the safety of citizenship, and those without loving connections in their lives. There are many in our community, O Lord, that are living in some sort of poverty, and we lift them to you now. I ask that we each would have a compassion for these and for one another that moves us to effective solutions. We believe this is your dream for our world, where every human has the space to live and to thrive. A dream you have shared with people of all nations and faiths. A dream you have given to your prophets and faithful ones through the ages. As we remember this week, it was a dream powerfully relayed to us by one Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. May your dream become a reality through us, even in meetings such as this. Give us the courage and the means to be the ones who make this dream a reality. That it be here on earth as it is in heaven. It is in your loving name we ask all this. Amen.
Amen. Pastor Andrew, would you tell us a little bit about St. Timothy?
Yes, well, St. Timothy United Methodist Church was founded in 1847, so it's one of the older congregations in the community. Then it was called Oak Grove Methodist Church. They changed the name when they changed locations right down the street. It is a wonderful congregation. Our mission statement says we are here to connect people with God's love. And we do that as much as possible in tangible ways out in our community. I don't know if I've mentioned this before as I prayed, but one of our former pastors is a beloved leader in the community, Shelley Webb, pastored the church, I think, beginning in 1999. And but yeah, it's a wonderful, loving congregation, affirming and welcoming to all people. So I'm blessed to be their pastor. Our services are at 10:55 a.m. So.
Well, thank you. We are so glad to have St. Timothy's as part of our faith community.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if everyone would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, honor, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Madam Mayor, you do have a quorum. All members are present.
We have a draft agenda. Mr. Manager, did you want to add an item to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. I request that we add to special presentations a briefing on upcoming inclement weather.
All right, Council, are there any other proposed modifications to the agenda? Not, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda with the one modification?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Hang on a second.
Oh, didn't hear you. Oh, good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the modified agenda is approved. Council, you've got the January 5th, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Are there any modifications or corrections to the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. You guys are slow tonight. All right. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the minutes are approved. All right, we are going to move on to our proclamations. We have one proclamation tonight. I'm going to stand up and read it, even though we don't have anyone here to accept the proclamation, but that's okay. And this is one of the more unique proclamations that we do in the city of Brevard. I don't think there's any other city that has a proclamation like this. And this is proclamation number 2026, TAC 02, White Squirrel Day. The city of Brevard hereby proudly declares and ordains February 2nd, 2026 as White Squirrel Day, and further orders that, quote, Groundhog Day, unquote, will forever and hereafter be recognized and honored in the city of Brevard as White Squirrel Day for the following reasons. Whereas, in keeping with Brevard's great heritage of welcoming and receiving visitors from around the world, Pisca Piper honorably serves as the city's official White Squirrel Ambassador for Brevard. Whereas, Pisca Piper has established herself as a beloved and valued member of this community and openly asserts her love for Brevard, waterfalls, mountain biking, hiking, and everything else that makes our town the coolest small town in America. Whereas, Pisca Piper has further established herself as possessing unique and valuable skills in making useful and accurate predictions, including accurately predicting the winner of the Super Bowl each year, while Puxatawny Phil has established himself, let's be honest, as an ill-tempered and highly unreliable predictor of anything.
Wow.
Therefore, we celebrate this day as Pisca Piper proudly performs her duties and responsibilities, and heretofore will make all predictions asked of her on White Squirrel Day, thereby forever relieving Puxatawny Phil of these duties. Besides, she's way cuter than Phil. So, I, Maureen Koploff, Mayor of the City of Brevard, do hereby proclaim February 2nd, 2026 as White Squirrel Day in the City of Brevard. And for those of you that have not been here for a White Squirrel Day, you know we have a wonderful White Squirrel ceremony. Pisca Piper is a real live squirrel, not some guy in a costume. This is a real squirrel. This is a squirrel that was injured and cannot be released back into the wild and was rescued and lives with a wildlife rehabilitator, a licensed wildlife rehabilitator. And so every year, Pisca Piper, she's our third official white squirrel mascot that I know of, actually predicts whether or not we're going to have a longer winter or an early spring. this year, our ceremony with Mr. Piper is going to be on the 2nd from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock at the White Squirrel Shop on Main Street. So mark your calendars and come see our official White Squirrel do that prediction. And just ignore that thing up there in Pennsylvania. Thanks, guys. All right. Should have had a giant white squirrel come together.
Next time.
Work on this connection. All right, we will now move into public comments. The public is invited to speak during public comment at this time on any topic, unless it is a public hearing item on the agenda. Anyone who wants to speak must register with the city clerk, which is the sign-up sheet. When it is your turn, step to the podium in front of City Council. State your name and address clearly, limit comments to 3 minutes or less, and avoid repetition. Direct comments to the full council, not to individual council members or to staff. And tonight we have one person that signed up, and that is Mr. Doug Powell.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members, and staff. I trust everyone had a nice weekend celebrating the life of one of America's greatest civil rights leaders and orators, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Unfortunately, in recent years, his full name has been truncated by most of us into MLK, and many simply refer to yesterday's national holiday as MLK Day, which doesn't adequately represent his legacy. Perhaps this has been done out of convenience, or maybe it is somewhat inconvenient to have future generations discover that such an important figure in America's history was actually a preacher whose speeches contained countless references to the Bible because he had earned his doctorate degree in theology. Just like most seasoned Americans used to know the YMCA, football's national championship last night on MLK Day. Does anyone know why Indiana is called the Hoosier State? Well, most scholars link Indiana's namesake to another important reverend in American history, the Reverend Harry Hoosier. Despite Hoosier being illiterate, signer of the Declaration of Independence Benjamin Rush called him the greatest orator in America. Hoosier studied under the tutelage of the famous Methodist minister Francis Asbury, and they preached thousands of times together. Harry Hoosier had an amazing ability to connect with blue-collar Americans who, like himself, had very little education. The transformations of these rough-and-tumble types to Christ were so dramatic when many of them ultimately moved west from New England to the newly established Indiana Territory, they were referred to by the nickname Hoosiers. So why am I sharing this with you all tonight? Because the Reverend Harry Hoosier was born a slave
30
in North
seconds.
Carolina, but ultimately won his freedom. He was perhaps the most famous black preacher in the founding era that no one has ever heard of. When he preached, most of his very large crowds consisted of both blacks and whites. Methodist Bishop Thomas Coke said of Harry, "I really believe he is one of the best preachers in all the world." In the mid-1780s, when Hoosier preached to a Delaware church, it is considered one of the earliest sermons delivered to an all-white congregation by a black minister.
Time, Mr. Powell. Thank you. All right, that is everybody that signed up for public comment. All right, we will move on to special presentations. And I believe our city manager is going to cover this.
Yeah. Well, in light of the weather forecast for the weekend, indeed, I'd like to give you all a brief briefing on the city's preparations. And so I've invited 3 of the relevant staff people to share some information with you and the public that we think will help keep things safe and orderly this weekend. Becky will start us off and share information on how folks can sign up to receive emergency notifications both from us and Transylvania County Emergency Management. She'll be followed by our Public Works Director, Wesley, who will share info on snow plowing, snow removal, down trees, other public works matters. And then we'll wrap up with Chase, who will share the latest from North Carolina Emergency Management and other safety tips. But before they start, I just want to go ahead and notify you, council, that if it does precipitate as expected this weekend, I will close City Hall on Monday and perhaps Tuesday of next week, depending on the circumstances. And so normal city services will be affected. City Hall will likely be closed to folks trying to pay their water bills, for example, but it would also mean that committee meetings scheduled for those days would be postponed. Community centers like Mary C. Jenkins and French Broad would be closed and their scheduled events canceled. And depending on the conditions, and Wesley might talk a little bit more about this in his presentation, depending on the conditions, we might cancel next week's solid waste collection. And so I just want to prepare you for the possibility that city services will be reduced because of the weather next week. So Becky, take it away.
Hi, yes, I'm Becky McCann. I'm the communications coordinator for the city. If any of the changes that Mr. Hooper has referenced manifest, they will be posted right here in our news flash on our homepage. They'll be posted on our social media. But if that's not enough for you, if you want this direct to your phone or inbox, boy, do I have a service for you, a free service. You're going to come right down here to this icon that says alerts and notifications and give that bad boy a click. And you are just going to go right here to sign up for alerts. And you're going to hit the green button that says sign up. And then you will enter your relevant information, your email, your phone, any preferred language. If English is not your first language, the message will be translated into the language you select. So this will all be on the home page and then alerts and notifications. Now, if you sign up for this service, you'll notice that your default here is to get signed up for emergency alerts. We reserve this for true emergencies, which trash changes, for example, or city hall closure would not be a true emergency. So if you would also like to be alerted about those, you're going to come down here and click general notifications as well. This is also going to help future you because the next time there's a holiday and your recycling day gets moved, we got you covered. You'll get a direct to your phone or inbox notification about that. Once you do that, you can hit sign me up. So pretty basic. You can always modify it. If you're not sure if you're already signed up for this, I know some folks have questions about that. You can always modify or unsubscribe later if you think you were in the wrong group or you want to cancel. If you have any difficulty at all, you can call us here at City Hall and I will help you. I am here for you. I am not here for Transylvania County assistance, but I can show you how to sign up for theirs as well. If you go to transylvaniacounty.org, they too have a little icon that says emergency alerts. And if you click that, you can go straight to their sign up page to sign up for that as well. I think that's all I've got. That's it. And again, if you have any questions at all, give us a shout here at City Hall and we will walk you through it.
Thank you, Becky. Wesley.
Yeah, I'm Wesley Shook, the Public Works Director, and the likely event they're gonna have weather. Just know, we're gonna have city crews in, we'll work around the clock. We have 7 trucks. We will be plowing. How it'll start, we'll start in the middle of town, and we just slowly work our way out. Just be patient, and like Mr. Hooper said, depending on the weather, whether we get trash or not. As soon as we get the streets open to where I can have crews safely on the trash trucks, we will run trash. And it may take us a little bit. Just be patient. And if you could, please, if you can, park in the driveways off the road. If you don't, well, you're going to get plowed. I just can't help it. And like if you have issues getting out or you need us urgently, try not to call 911. They're going to be absolutely overwhelmed, and they have a number. I'm sure Chase can give that number. It's a business number instead of the 911. But just know we're out there. We won't stop until we get it all done. Just be patient with us. Yeah, and if you can stay at home, if all possible, just give us time to safely get the roads opened up. We'll have it before the end of the week, hopefully. I think that's all I have.
Wesley, can you share a few words about trees and what folks should do if they have downed trees?
Yeah, if you have down trees, if it's in a power line, I mean, that's definitely probably 911. Chase or I-1 will be right there. If it's just a tree down in the road, you can call the OCD business line and they'll dispatch one of us out. We'll be working all through the night, all through the day. One of us will be on site within just moments if it's a tree down in the road. And there's probably likely that there are going to be a few trees down for sure. If the ice hits, yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of trees.
Wesley, are we going to like salt the roads or put something on the
We
roads
are.
to prevent ice?
We are. We put brine on the roads, but we also have some. It's not really salt, but it's a ice melt that we will put. You'll see us putting it down before. We'll probably this week. We'll be putting it on the handicap ramps, on the truncated domes, on Chase's fire ramps probably. So you'll see us out doing that. We have a spray that we can put on there also. It just buys us a little time. Yep. And we will have the center of town, of course, as normal. We'll plow to the center of town. And then when we get caught up, we'll start trucking it to the shop.
Thank you, sir.
Huh.
Chase.
Good evening, I'm Chase Owen, the fire chief. So I wish I had a better, more information as far as the totals. We're about a day early on that, as far as getting the totals from the weather services. However, the ranges right now are anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of snow, most of which are about 1.5 feet average out. Hopefully I can nail those down a lot more tomorrow. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I've been in contact with emergency management, also the Department of Transportation. They advised me today that they would be out. They were working on getting more equipment in here because they're limited in how much they can get out, how many trucks they can put on the road at one time. So from what Wesley said, he's probably got more trucks for the city than they have for the county. So they're working on getting some more of those in there. A couple things real quick, as far as preparedness. Now's the time to make sure that you got supplies to get you through. Make sure that you're going to be self-sufficient for 72 hours plus. One of the big mysteries right now with this forecast is the fact that we don't know if we're going to get 1 to 2 feet of snow or if we're going to get 2 inches of ice. Even if we got half of the ice that they're possibly saying an inch of ice would be catastrophic. And you could probably plan for power outages for a couple of days. To hit off of what Wesley said a minute ago on power lines. If you see a power line down, they are energized until Duke Energy says they're not energized. Just because it looks like it may not be energized doesn't mean we should go out and touch it or anything else. So we need to make sure we stay clear of those. travel, once it starts is not the time to go to the store and get your bread and milk for your milk sandwiches. That should have been done, that should have been done tomorrow. I'm not sure why we need bread and milk, because if power goes out, milk's gonna be the first thing to go in the fridge, so. But comically right there, but make sure that you go out and get your stuff to be prepared. If you're using alternative heating, other than what if you've got buddy heaters or something to that effect, make sure that those are in well ventilated areas. Make sure that they're rated to be used inside. Carbon monoxide is a huge issue, especially if you have a generator. You take a generator out, you set it up on your porch, well, it's under the eave of your house. Your house can be filled with carbon monoxide. And whenever it happens like that, it's truly the silent killer. It'll kill you before you know that you're even affected by it. And as far as travel, like I said, make sure that you stay off the roads. Don't get on the roads if you don't have an emergency. Please stay away from going back to the emergency. If you have an emergency, by all means, call 911. How do the roads look is not an emergency. I promise you that there will be probably several thousand calls a day coming to the 911 center asking how the roads look. So that is not the place to call. Highway Patrol, Star SHP, I believe, or Star HP on your phone will give you some road conditions if you can access the internet. There's multiple ways to look at the roads there. Leave 911 open for those emergency incidents. They don't have time to tell you how the roads look. So make sure that you're calling the respective correct numbers. If it's not emergency, don't call those. But that's where we're at right now. Like I said, I wish I had a little bit better pinned down amount, but it does appear that it could be a catastrophic storm as far as the amounts that we could ice or snow. Although it's not the most snow we've ever had, but that amount of snow here, the equivalent of half-inch ice is 500 extra pounds on the power line. So that brings stuff down in a hurry. But the biggest thing I can tell you is please, please, please stay clear of power lines if you see them down. Because they may look energized, but the minute you get close to them, and one thing I'll mention about power lines real quick, if a power line is down, just because you didn't touch it don't mean it can't shock you. We see people all the time that walk up within 5 or 10 feet of it, and the power will track through the ground depending on the moisture in the ground. If you approach that, you could get zapped like that. So that's that.
Chase, one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Has there been any discussion with the county on opening public buildings where if someone has no heat for several days, an emergency shelter or something?
Generally, that's something that that they prepare for beforehand, but don't really announce that until we see the need for that. If that makes sense, because they'll come up. If it's a snowstorm, may not have any power outages. If you have the ice, the whole world may be out of power. So that's something like that. We'll have extra people on with the fire department. We've got extra staffing scheduled starting Friday through Monday or Tuesday right now. So we'll have extra people there. If there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. But the timing for the storm right now, it's kind of variable too, but it appears it's going to start Friday evening and go all the way through Sunday evening. So it will be a long duration event.
Council, any additional questions for our staff? Mr. Wise, any questions?
It's always on the weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ms. Holder?
I just want to know if I need a sermon for Sunday.
It ain't looking like it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and prep a couple.
Be ready.
Mr. Baker?
And it might just be too early at this point, but has there been any talk about declaring an emergency at the county level and the city coordinating with that, or?
We haven't heard, but we presume that they'll ponder that as we get better information closer to the weekend.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thanks. I know this means a lot of extra work and long hours for the people who are out there working on our benefit when we're home and eating those milk sandwiches. So just thank you in advance for everybody that's going to be working hard and keeping us safe.
Mr. Daniel?
I just hope everyone is safe, including our staff and the folks that are dealing with this situation as it happens.
Mr. Lionel?
Nothing, just thank you. You guys stay safe as well.
Council will
Alright.
keep you apprised as we get more information later this week.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. All right, we will move on to our consent and information agenda. The following items are on consent. 1, tax settlement report of December 2025. 2, Council Public Works and Utilities Committee minutes November 5th of 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. All right, we will move on to new business. Our first item is the Azalea Avenue Development Concept and Next Steps. And Mr. Manager?
Yes, ma'am. The presentation will be given tonight by our friend Sarah Van Leer from the Development Finance Initiative, otherwise known as DFI, who's been helping us throughout this process. And she will be joined tonight by representatives from Fitch Irick, which is the firm we wish to go into business with to create units of low to moderate income housing on the site we own off of Azalea Avenue. And so Sarah's here to take you through a presentation on this pivot and slight change in strategy. And then Andrea is here to answer any questions from you about their business and how they plan on going about this project. And then Mac might have a comment or two about the lease that we're asking you to approve tonight. He's been working on some of those legalities until late this afternoon, and so he might have a word or two to say about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. We'll be tag teaming this presentation tonight, but I'll kick us off. So just a quick overview of our objectives for this presentation. We want to provide a public update on the Azalea Avenue development. We want to discuss Fitch Irick's proposal, and then we'll review the next steps ahead. Just a quick kind of reminder or maybe information for those that haven't been engaged in our work around this site before. Just want to locate it for folks that are listening and watching. This site is at the intersection of Azalea Avenue and Old Hendersonville Highway, just north of downtown. It's just under 4 acres. Because of a stream and kind of the buffer area on the northernmost part of the site, the most developable area for future affordable housing is on that southern portion of the site. You can see there approximately 2.5 acres. You'll also notice on this image that we've incorporated and included a pump station, which would be needed not only for sewer access to this site in the future, but to support sewer infrastructure for the entire neighborhood. If you've been following kind of along, we've been working with the city since 2023, but specifically spending time with the city, understanding and assessing its development potential for affordable housing since late 2024. So that started with the city getting an option on the Azalea Avenue property. There was a geotechnical assessment conducted to understand the soil makeup and the developability of the physical terrain there. We have engaged in 2 rounds of public engagement, first about the public interests, and then a second round focused on the test fits that were conducted in partnership with Row House Architects out of Asheville. That was alongside our team's pre-development analysis to understand the detailed feasibility of future affordable housing on this site, leading to the city endorsing the site options and the guiding public interests that they want to see realized on this site, as well as the purchase of the Azalea Avenue site in mid-2025. We're in preparation for getting together a solicitation package, but then got an update around the most important funding source for this project going forward, which are low-income housing tax credits. Those tax credits are allocated by a state agency called the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, And they released in December new information about not only the tax credits that they would provide, but also additional resources that could be accessed for communities that were affected by Tropical Storm Helene. And so we've pivoted, and we're in preparation now with Fitch IRIC to support their preliminary application in January, actually at the end of this week. So we'll talk about some more details of why we're kind of here in this moment and pivoting in the way that we are. And we'll dig into more details on Fitch IRIC's proposal for the site. I just wanted to provide a little bit of the background on the work that's been done on this site to date. So let's talk a little bit about those low-income housing tax credits. As I mentioned, NCHFA allocates those plans, and they updated that plan to not only increase the tax credit allocation for the West region, but also to pair with that allocation access to disaster recovery funding. These resources are really important to moving forward and making this development financially feasible. And we don't know if this funding will be available in the future. So acting now to access this additional funding is really critical to think about the development potential of this site going forward. In addition to that, Transylvania County's Helene recovery eligibility may improve its competitiveness for those resources. So kind of multiple reasons why we want to move forward now to be able to gain as many resources as possible to make this project work. Fitch IRIC submitted a letter of interest to the city to develop affordable housing on Azalea Avenue, and this LOI prompted the Housing Committee here in Brevard to request a development proposal by the 7th of January in order for us to do our due diligence and review process and still enable Fitch IRIC to submit the preliminary application that is due this Friday. Fitch IRIC is a qualified developer from our perspective for a variety of reasons. They developed and operate Broad River Terrace, which is right next door to this Azalea Avenue site, and they have deep LIHTC experience across the Southeast with over 50 developments that they've developed and 300 properties that they have under management. They've committed to prioritizing Azalea Avenue in this upcoming submission, and we've been working very closely with them over the last several weeks to make sure that we can make this happen if there's a decision to move forward tonight. A couple of takeaways on the proposal itself, and then I'll hand it over. Fitch IRIC did meet all the requirements that were asked of them in that proposal on January 7th. Their proposal includes approximately 60 rental units that would be affordable to households earning between 40% and 60% of the area median income. They have included in their design requests and design elements that we found were really important as a part of our community engagement process and are reflected in the guiding public interest for this site, which include green space, playground, and indoor community space, a number of amenities on this site, as well as that pump station that is needed to accommodate future sewer infrastructure for the neighborhood. The primary funding source at this stage is going to be a 9% low-income housing tax credit award, and we'll dig into those details here in a little bit. And the estimated city participation is land conveyance only. So with those kind of primary takeaways, I'll hand it over so you can dive into the details.
Sarah. Thank you, Council. My name is Andrea Gonzalez. I'm the Vice President of Development at Fitch IRIC. We are an affordable housing developer, as Sarah made mention, and we are based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We have a little under 15,000 units in ownership, operating, and management. And while we have developed affordable housing communities from DC to Savannah, as Sarah may mention, Brevard is actually pretty near and dear to our company's foundation. What you may not know, our founder, Hollis Fitch of Fitch IRIC, his very first affordable housing development was right here in the city of Brevard. which is Broad River Terrace. So our foundation really started here in your city. And me personally, I was hire number one for Hollis Fitch. And I have the honor and privilege to say I have been a part of every single development that we have done here at Fitch Irick, except for one, which is Broad River Terrace. So for me personally, it's a real full circle moment for me to be able to come back to where we started, to be able to help continue our mission of affordable housing. Something that's unique, some pretty pictures for you to look at too. Something that is, I think, some unique parallels that you'll find with Broad River Terrace and the Azalea property is Broad River Terrace required a partnership with Fitch, Hollis Fitch and our company to not only extend sewer extension, create a lift station to help the neighborhood, but also partner with the city and Land of Sky to be able to secure CDBG funds to be able to make all of that possible. So I know that sounds very familiar to what we are navigating in today's Azalea property, but I find the correlation pretty interesting and just very excited about the opportunity to work with you guys and navigate this with the City Council. City Council has seen these responses. This is a part of our proposal that we submitted in January, on January 7th. I bring these up today just to make sure everyone understands that the public interest guiding principles really was front of mind when we put together our proposal. We understood what was important, not only to be able to submit to North Carolina Housing Finance Agency for a competitive application, but also what it is that City Council and the community here wants to see as a longstanding community for years to come. So I'll touch on these public interests as we move through the slides, but really wanted to make sure and vocalize that we are aligned with what City Council has put forward in those public interest statements. In this, just kind of get to the, yeah. You're going to see in here, this is what was in our proposal. It is a 60-unit affordable housing community that has a mixture of 1s, 2s, and 3-bedroom units that target 40 to 60% area median income. We took into consideration the fit and form of the area. Given the grade and given the community right around, we decided to start with a 2-story building as you enter the property. There will be units on the second floor, but on the first floor, that's where our community space and our leasing office, our fitness center would be. This would help allow for, as you enter the property, to kind of marry in those single-family homes that are on either side of the property upon your entrance, with the larger buildings on the back side of the property. You will see the green space on the back of the property, similar to what City Council originally contemplated with UNC DFI. And we also incorporated a playground, and we also have a gazebo or a covered picnic shelter that's going to be alongside that a playground that's not pictured here on this slide. The pump station is incorporated into the site design, and more importantly, it's contemplated in the numbers. This next slide, where we have the financial feasibility, we have put into our development budget the $2 million that it would take to extend that sewer line and to install that lift station, not only to service that site, but of course the future extension that has been contemplated for the neighboring community as well. As Sarah May mentioned, there's a unique opportunity in this 2026 funding round for North Carolina Finance Housing Agency due to Hurricane Helene and the disaster relief fund, disaster recovery funds that are available. The way that the document reads, Transylvania County, for all intents and purposes, wouldn't be very competitive. And I know Sarah has spoken with everybody on council about that. But because of these disaster relief funds and because of the need in this area for affordable housing, there is an opportunity to be able to become more competitive because it's a right time and a right place. There was a guiding principle that that was put forward that the city council and public interest wanted the most amount of funds used to be able to limit the city of Brevard's requirement to be able to commit the land as the donation piece, to just that donation piece. The scenario that's presented here today does just that. In this scenario, there's $3 million of the CDBG funds, and then also $2 million of what is called the Workforce Housing Loan Program. The city council is smart. You will see the asterisk. It is, of course, pending appropriation. It has not been committed yet from the state. And I assure you, we do have a plan B to be able to still be able to submit a full competitive application. However, being able to take into consideration the public interest of using the most amount of dollars available, that's how we've structured it today, and have a plan B if those do not get appropriated through using an RPP loan that is also available for this project. I think the biggest takeaway that I want City Council to really hear tonight is while Fitch Irick has lots of experience in affordable housing, it's what we do, it is our mission. And we have local experience here at the city of Brevard. We also have experience navigating CDBG disaster recovery funds. When Hurricane Matthews came through the state and devastated the eastern part of North Carolina, these similar funds did come to the western side of, to the eastern side of the state and allowed to fund additional developments that, for all sense of the purposes, weren't considered competitive. And I am proud to say, because of our nimbleness, because of our relationship with North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, we opened at the beginning of 2024 Love Mill Apartments, where 64 families call home in Whiteville, North Carolina. So I'm just very excited about this opportunity, very humbled by the opportunity to complete the circle of my personal career here for our foundation, and thank you so much for your time tonight.
I'll talk about a few next steps, and then, of course, any questions that you'll have for either one of us, we can spend some time on that. So we're here tonight on the 20th to think through executing an option on the Azalea Avenue property with Fitch Irick. That enables them to submit an application just a couple days later, which is a required preliminary application to be considered for these LIHTC funds going forward. What we'll then do is post January 23rd, Fitch Irick will prepare their full application, which is due in May. And in that same time period, we'll finalize our negotiations with Fitch Irick for that full application for the ground lease that would be required. But I also want to point out that this is the time period where any additional partners and funding sources are critical to confirm, so that that full application takes into picture the most competitive financial scenario possible, as NCHFA considers all of the projects that are going to be submitted for these resources going forward. So that time period between kind of now and May is critical for us to kind of keep moving forward together. And then we will be in a holding pattern from May until August while NCHFA reviews all of the full applications from developers for those resources. So we'll find out more in August and certainly be able to pivot towards any next steps, whether we are awarded those credits or not. So plan B's all around. I'll just pause to see if there are any questions for either one of us.
Council, we'll go ahead and we'll open it up for questions. Mr. Lytle, any questions?
No questions. As I said before when we met, I like the fact that we're jumping on this opportunity, and this is really, really important to the city, and one of the number one issues that we have, and any opportunity to address it and address it as quickly as possible is a good thing. That's all.
Mr. Daniel?
I would just like to say that, housing, I've been on the council for 10 years now, and it's always been one of the most critical issues that we've had to deal with. And I was on the housing committee early on, and during these 10 years, I would have to say that Broad River Terrace has always been the project that I point to when I say that this is what affordable housing is, and it's not something that is detrimental to our community, to your neighborhood. And I'm really excited that Fitch Irick has stepped up to be the person to make this application. Thank you.
Ms. Baker?
Yeah, I do the same thing with Broad River Terrace when we're talking about projects, and we inevitably have people come with different concerns. They're often the same things said over and over again, and it's very helpful to point to a project that's as successful as Broad River Terrace, which people know because they often either live not too far away or drive by it all the time. And so I was very excited to hear that Fitch Irick was raising their hand and interested in partnering with us on this. I see this as a really unique opportunity for the city to tackle several of the challenges we've had and the priorities that we've set for a very long time. We've been on sort of a over a decade-long project of trying to improve our infrastructure and water and wastewater improvements. We've just in the last 4 or 5 years really made an effort to be serious about housing affordability and put money behind it. But then a year ago, Hurricane Helene happened, and we had real people in our community. While we didn't see some of the catastrophic impacts of some of our neighboring communities, we had families who were unable to live in their homes and are still dealing with the impact of that. And then we have a neighborhood nearby that has aging septic systems. We don't know exactly how many homes are impacted, but at least 30. And some of those homes will not be able to repair their septic systems. So those are going to be people who, in a slow motion way, lose their homes, just like people during the hurricane lost their homes. So pulling all of those things together, it can be easy to tackle projects when you're just focused on solving one particular problem. But it's a lot more meaningful, and it's a lot more successful, I think, for the city when we can pull together a bunch of the different things that we've been working on and try to make an impact on those challenges all at once. So I know we've spoken to the county about getting some help on the infrastructure piece on this in particular, and those conversations are ongoing. That's going to be a major part of this project and really allow us to pull all those things together, help the neighborhood, and make this project a reality. So thank you for the presentation. And it's always detailed, so thank you.
Ms. Holder?
Thank you. Thank you for the meeting that we had earlier and for the presentation tonight. Is it my clear understanding that this is mainly for accessibility, for you to move forward to get access to the land? Is that correct?
Right.
It's not the actual construction, because this is 12 months. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The action we're asking you for tonight is to give staff authorization to negotiate an option to lease the land with Fitch Irick, which is what they need in order to have security to apply for the grant.
Okay. And then later we'll deal with the 99-year conversation that we had.
Yes, ma'am.
For long-term.
What we'll
affordable
bring back
housing.
to you in the months to come and ask for your input on is a development agreement with Fitch Irick.
Okay.
Which will outline all their responsibilities to us, ours to them, the terms under which they will manage the land and the development that would eventually go on there. And once that is negotiated, then we'll sign the 99-year lease for the property. But all the relevant terms that I think you're interested in will be contained in the development agreement.
Okay, that's what I wanted to be clear about. Thank you.
Mr. Wise?
Yeah, I feel like Fitch Irick it's almost like a tailor-made fit for us. So I was very excited to see that proposal. Just out of my own abundance of ignorance in terms of LIHTC grants and funding, we have no current state budget. I don't believe. Do the state budget?
No, not to my knowledge.
Good. Those are inconsequential in any case. But in terms of like LIHTC funding, how stable? Like, I feel like LIHTC's sort of a sacred thing. I know that the WELP, these acronyms are awesome. The WELP funding is not appropriated, but LIHTC is like rock solid, right?
Yes, since 1986 tax reform, it has been the most supported bipartisan tax reform that has been in existence. It is issued at the federal level and allocated at the state. So, as of this moment, it has been very reliable.
Okay, good. Because I think that's everything is hinging on a whole lot of kind of.
It's the majority of the budget.
Yeah. And the other thing, I'll kind of piggyback onto Aaron's comments about, I think there's a lot of potential here to not only create this housing, but also help the Azalea neighborhood, which is really in dire shape. And I think everyone in our community should be aware of how much hardship they're undergoing in that community. So the more we can do to use the synergy of this and package it together to help them, I think everyone benefits in the county with that. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, you're looking for a vote on a resolution. Are we ready to go there, or is there more presentation?
I really don't have anything much to add, just we, over the last few days, we've been in discussion with Fitch Irick. We've come to, essentially, it's an option and a lease. It's an option to enter a lease, essentially, which gives Fitch Irick what they need to move forward with this preliminary step, and gives us, the city, what we need, which is the ability to ensure that we're getting the kind of project we need through the development agreement process. Is basically what it is. I think we're all, I've had really good discussions with their attorney and with Andrea, in coming to we've resolved all the issues. I feel very comfortable that between Wilson and I, we can work the last little remaining tidbits off in the next 2 days, so that they're going to be able to put together what they need for Friday. Is it Friday when it's due?
Friday at noon.
Make sure that we've got everything's ready for Friday at noon, and then do the real hard work, which is going to be between now and May when that final project goes in. But I feel very comfortable with the agreements that are sitting before you right now.
Yeah.
Right.
In that case, if you would phrase the motion, council, as authorizing me and Mac to negotiate and execute the option agreement with Fitch Irick.
Which I think is what the resolution essentially says. It's in the packet.
All right, council, do I have a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the manager and the city attorney to negotiate the terms of a ground lease with Fitch Irick?
So moved.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Mr. Wise, any additional discussion? Ms. Holder? Mr. Baker? Daniel? Mr. Lytle? All right, we're ready for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to our next item of new business, the fire engine purchase update. And looks like our fire chief, Chase Owen, and our Assistant City Manager, Finance Director, Dean Luby, are going to jointly brief us on this.
Yes, ma'am. So again, my name is Chase Owen, the fire chief. In June of 2025, the city council approved the fire department to purchase a new fire engine. That fire engine was an approximate value of $1 million was what was approved at that point in time. However, since that time, a contract was not signed during that period of time, and the price has increased to $1.155901, so $155,901 increase. It's necessary to come back to you all to get another approval for this. The purchase of this truck would be another fire engine, which will replace a 22-year-old American LaFrance. That American LaFrance engine is currently having some pretty major mechanical issues. We get fixed, it breaks again. We get fixed, it breaks again. The unfortunate portion about American LaFrance went out of business about 15 years ago. So it's becoming ever increasingly difficult to find any new parts for that. The other issue to that is we have two of those American LaFrances, so one's in better condition than the other, so we would be replacing that. Imperative on the scheduling, when we replace apparatus, the apparatus have usually about a 15-year front line capability. They can be removed to a service or backup role after that. But as far as the frontline apparatus, that needs to be somewhere in that 15, at the max 20-year range, and we've exceeded that. We got off a little bit during years due to the rescue truck and it being postponed for a few years. So the replacement schedule is a little bit outdated on that. We're currently working to get that back in, and this will help us tremendously in doing so. Some of the issues that we're having with the truck, we've got multiple electrical wiring issues. If you get behind it tonight, I've got to have somebody follow it at night because the lights on the back none of them are working. So we're working on that right now. Ongoing braking system problems and increased difficulty sourcing manufacturer-specific parts. Again, LaFrance went out of business, probably one of the premier fire truck manufacturers at the time for well over 100 years, and they went out of business about 15 years ago. So with that being said, currently we're asking to sign a contract now which would lock that price in. The longer we go, the more expensive they get. Currently right now, manufacturers are saying a 5 to 7% increase year over year. If we order that truck today, it's going to be at least 850 days before that truck arrives here. Some of the questions that have been brought up to me is why was a contract not signed when it was originally approved? And I believe that has a lot to do with the current engine that's scheduled to arrive any time now not being here and trying to wait to get it here before we enter into a contract with another. There's good and bad in the time that it takes to build it. Currently right now, if we get that, we're looking at Q1 2029 for that truck to be. At that point in time, we will have one apparatus that rolls off the debt schedule and another one which will be, hopefully with any luck, the second one will roll off and we'll actually drop the payment that we're currently paying there. There's also a couple other benefits to us doing this now. Right now, there is a possibility that we could get a savings of $20,000 to $40,000. I know that don't seem like a lot when you're talking about $1,100,000, but $20,000 to $40,000, which could be used for other equipment when we purchase that. If we do it now, it's all about the engine that's in the truck. If we get it now, there's a chance we can get the new pre-emission standard engine in it, which would save that additional money. Looking ahead, as I said a minute ago, we have two American LaFrance engines that are going to have to be replaced. With that being said, one of the things that I've discussed with the manager is looking ahead is taking and doing refurbishment on our trucks. We can refurb a truck for probably a quarter of the price of a new one. Unfortunately, the two LaFrances are too far past that to do that. It'd be meaningful and get that. We can get probably 1.75 to 2 times the lifespan out of those trucks by refurbing. My plan from this point forward would be to refurb the trucks that way. Once we've replaced the other LaFrance in a few years, then we will be able to start refurbing the trucks and getting that 2-time lifespan out of them. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Council, any questions? Mr. Wise?
Again, I'm going to speak out of ignorance. That's what I do. Can you help me understand the difference between like this particular truck and some other truck with a big ladder on it? Like,
So yeah.
and I'm not trying to be, I'm being silly, but I really would love to know like the differences of these pieces of equipment.
Absolutely. So whenever I say a fire engine carries water and has a pump. Is the simplest way I can put it. And it comes in our ladders or quints or the trucks that have the ladders on top of them. Luckily, we don't have to replace one of those right now because that's $2 million. Ours is still in good shape. If in the letter that I sent to you all in the packet there, that probably less than a quarter of the price of it. And our rescue truck is, in layman's terms, is our toolbox. It carries everything that we need. It doesn't have water. It doesn't have a pump, but it has every kind of tool imaginable to handle whatever rescue situation is. That's the three main kind of trucks that we have, as well as our small medical trucks that we like to pick up trucks. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. I get confused.
Well, a lot of people say fire engine and we
Yeah.
think of whatever big red truck rolling down the road, but fire engine is the technical term for a pumper.
Okay, thank you.
Fire engine is the technical, I'm sorry.
No, please. Jump right in there.
That last part I missed. Technical
Fire
term.
engine is a technical term for a pumper truck.
Okay.
So,
right.
truck with a pump and water.
That's all I have.
Ms. Holder, any questions?
I guess not. But thank you for being smart enough to ask that one. That helped me as
Baker?
well. Thank you.
Just one, and it's more of a clarification. So on the refurbishment, you talked about, you might be able to get up to 2 times the lifespan, and other place you said 15 years is the frontline lifespan. So are you saying up to 30 years potentially for
I would say between 25 and 30 we could get out of that truck.
Okay.
Because basically when they refurb it from the frame up. So
Yeah.
you're getting essentially a new used truck whenever you get that. So, to extend that lifespan quite a bit.
It seems like, I'm just going to editorialize a little bit here, but, with the company that went out of business, the savings you can get from refurbishment are so substantial that, that represents a big hit for, I'm sure, not just what we're seeing, but cities and counties and all kinds of departments all over the country were suddenly didn't have that refurbishment option available to them. Is that correct?
So refurbishment has been an option for a long time, but it was an option that was not used a lot because we didn't have 850-day wait periods or 4 years or 5 years to get a new truck.
Right.
So during COVID, that time the price jumped. Just to throw a little information out there, currently right now, there's litigation going on, congressional hearings with several different manufacturers of fire trucks based off the pricing as well as the time it's taken to get fire trucks, because this is a problem that's being felt across the country.
Right.
And that's why a lot of people have turned to refurbishment. With that being said, a lot of the manufacturers themselves are doing the refurbishment now, as opposed to there were smaller companies handling refurbishment before, but a lot of your bigger companies now are getting into that as well. maybe a good idea for them to focus on building the truck as opposed to refurbing it, but it does help out tremendously. And as far as the cost, whenever the two LaFrances were bought, they were bought at a price of around $500,000 for both. And that price is
Wow.
what, fivefold now.
Yeah.
With the pricing, you start talking about even the bigger cities, when you start talking about replacing 30 at a time,
Yeah.
what used to be 15 million is now 30 million.
Well, I just want to say I know we've asked the county, we're in a partnership with the county and cover their Sylvan Valley 2 district, and so we have a funding partnership with them, and I happened to stop by the meeting that where they considered this, and they asked a couple questions, but they were very supportive, so I want to thank them for that support and the ongoing funding partnership we have there, and thanks for bringing it forward.
Mr. Daniel?
Well, it sounds like we need a new truck. That's pretty much the bottom line. Pricing and the weight is one of the reasons I'm glad that I'm retired from construction, because it's pretty across the board in any supply chain. So I think the other message of that is you better get on it now if you want to get it in any feasible time frame. So I'm in support of this.
Mr. Lytle?
Yeah, for me, I'm just curious, how many manufacturers are left that we are able to get pricing from? You know, is it, you know, a situation where there's only two and this is, you know, kind of one we go for that's the better one, or how does the landscape look?
Major manufacturers, there's approximately
Three.
There is the vast majority of all manufacturers now are owned by the Rev Group, which they bought. Even when they bought Spartan, they bought Sneal. They purchased a whole lot of the manufacturers. So the Rev Group owns them. Pierce is another one, manufacturer that's kind of standalone, and Seagrave, which is the engine, one of the first that engine now, and the truck is right now. As far as pricing, there was a competitive bid process in the beginning when they first done this. I say competitive, they got bids from several different. I can't answer exactly how that was done. But there was prices they manufactured. One of the things as far as what you're asking right there that I'd like to elaborate on is I am 100% for standardization. The engine that's coming in right now that should be here in the next couple of weeks is a Sneal as well. So anything we can do to standardize that across the board is helpful in many different ways. For example, the maintenance on it, if the same person or same company is doing the maintenance, they can take care of both. The trucks are built the same, they operate the same. If one goes down, I can move the other one over and we'll standardize across the board. I'm not a big proponent of having everything mix and matched, just because you run into issues whenever you go to swap over, this truck doesn't operate like that truck.
Right. Yeah, I suppose cause inefficiencies there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm all for it. We need a truck, and yeah, I mean, again, this is, you know, came up earlier tonight. This idea of the longer you wait, you need it. Let's get it done.
All right, so we are looking for a vote tonight to authorize the manager to sign the contract to order this engine, correct? Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Right. Second, okay. Any further discussion? Anybody? All right, I think we're ready for a vote on this. Ms. Daniel, did you have a question? Looked like you, no, okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're buying a new fire engine. All right.
Thanks.
All right, and that is the end of new business. We are moving on to our final remarks section. And We will start. We will start with Miss Holder.
Okay. I just want to say thank you to Mayor Koploff and to our new chief, Wenzel, and to new city council member Lytle for their support and participation for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration last night. And I wish he were still here. I was thinking the same thing yesterday, that, you know, a generation or two from now, they won't know what MLK is, except a day off. And so I think keeping that name alive as well as his vision is important. So thank you all for what you did to support that on last night. And I especially want to thank the community and for their support as well. And the march, I didn't get to march because of health concerns, but it was huge when it came to church. And so thank your team for also supporting and making sure that we were protected and safe. The marches were safe. What was it, about 150? Yeah, it was huge. And so we just want to thank the community as well. Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Wise?
So I actually prepared a statement tonight, and I read it to myself this afternoon, and it only took like 15 or 20 minutes. So won't be long, I promise. Something I rarely do, but I wanted to kind of get this out in a way that I'm bad at forgetting stuff. So, excuse me for reading, but this week we are remembering and celebrating the life of one of America's most impactful leaders, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. While he contributed and enriched our country in innumerable ways, I wanted to mention his idea of creative maladjustment specifically. Creative maladjustment is a refusal to accept an unjust or dehumanizing society, channeling discontent into constructive action for social change rather than conforming to harmful norms. Dr. King stated, "You should be proud to be maladjusted to racism, violence, and inequality. It is a conscious choice to channel discontent with systemic injustice into fostering positive, collective efforts like civil disobedience, critical thinking, freedom, and justice for all." Quote, "There are certain things in our nation and in the world which I am proud to be maladjusted, and which I hope all men and women of goodwill will be maladjusted until the good society is realized. I say very honestly that I never intend to become adjusted to segregation and discrimination. I never intend to become adjusted to religious bigotry. I never intend to adjust myself to the economic conditions that will take necessities from the many to give luxuries to the few. And I never intend to adjust myself to the madness of militarism, to the self-defeating effects of physical violence." Now, more than 50 years later, we are again witnessing federal sanctioned acts that emphasize bigotry, hate, racism, and inequality. Dr. King taught that creative maladjustment means refusing to accept violence as a solution, refusing to accept the marginalization of people based on status or origin, and refusing to be silent when policies and actions harm our neighbors. It calls for speaking out with both courage and compassion, for listening without judgment, and for insisting that justice be tempered with mercy. Locally, we cannot direct federal policy, but we can stand for the dignity of every person in our community. We can support peaceful expression, equitable treatment under the law, and dialogues that reflect empathy. We can remind ourselves and our constituents that we can respond to hate and ignorance with compassion, courage, and conscience. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Baker?
Yeah, well, I do want to thank Mr. Powell for his comments. I'm the son of a reverend doctor, and I think I made fun of my dad a couple times because his title was so long. But it is important, I think, to remember the full context. And thank you, Councilman Wise, for not just you see a lot of quotes around this time every year, and there's not a whole lot of understanding often of Reverend Dr. King Jr.'s words. And so I think the full context is very helpful. He, in his letter from jail, he, I think, was batting around those same ideas, and he had been called an extremist at the time, and there are times when extremism in the face of a justice system which is unjust is required. And so I think in times like we are in, unfortunately, there are often voices who jump to call people extremists in order to quiet them. And I think we should remember the leaders that have come before us and the things that they've said. So a couple more boring things that were on my list. I talked to the city attorney earlier today about, we've talked a little bit about how some of our committees utilize video conferencing, and that was very common during COVID, of course, and we haven't fully codified the use of that. It's not allowed at the council level, of course, but our committees can utilize it, and I think we need to go ahead and take the steps necessary to make that official. And the thing that reminded me of that was the weather upcoming and the fact that we may be in an emergency situation in the future where we need to utilize video conferencing, and we want to be on the up and up legally. And related to that, headed into budget season, I know that we've talked a little bit about the streaming capabilities of this room in the past and the audio-visual capabilities of this room in the past. But I think it's time we relook at that and make sure that we have the right equipment in place so that the experience on the other end of a computer screen tonight is as good as it can be if people aren't able to be here in the room with us.
We're crafting a budget request for just that thing, Councilmember.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Danny?
I'd like to thank Mr. Wise for his comments, and I feel like they are important things to keep in mind, and I would like to declare myself as creatively maladjusted as possible. We don't get very many opportunities to express that and our concern with the state of our nation. But we need to take the opportunities when they come. So thank you for that. I would also like to again repeat that everybody be safe coming week. Fortunately, I think we have a battle-hardened staff after Hurricane Helene, and so I think we're pretty well ready to deal with whatever comes our way. So thank you.
Mr. Lytle?
I want to thank everyone for their presentations tonight, and being a part of the celebration last night really made me just sit and self-reflect and think about what makes the city great. And it's always the people, and it's always all of us looking out for the least of us. And we even saw it in here tonight. One of the things that, and I'm paraphrasing, that Dr. King said, he talked about, he said that I'm not okay unless you're okay. And it's that interrelatedness that he always preached. And I think if, as a council, as we move forward and we think about our community, if we always keep that in mind, that the least of us and that our neighbor is okay, then in our own small way we can maybe mitigate some of the things that we can't control at a larger level. And several times since the election, people have come up and, as they congratulated me, one of the next things that they said as they looked at me was a hope that we're going to be okay, essentially. There's a lot of worry and a lot of angst. And my reply is that all we can do is control our own town and at the level that we're at and by helping our neighbor. And if we think about our neighbors and we take care of them, those little things will lead to the big things, and we'll be okay. So, great time to reflect and just looking forward to this next year to make sure that we fulfill that promise.
Mr. Attorney?
I cannot possibly add to any of the beautiful statements that were made. Nothing.
Madam Clerk?
Nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Just ask everyone to stay safe this weekend.
And I will just reiterate, we had an amazing ceremony yesterday, and I want to thank Councilwoman Holder, who led the team that put it together. They did a superb job of getting really the message of Dr. King and getting the speakers, the chorus, the music. I appreciate Chief speaking, and again, I also appreciate the community. And I want to thank the NAACP that played a big part also in yesterday in the march, and I want to thank the Job Corps. We had almost the entire youth from the Job Corps join us yesterday in our march. And one of my goals over the last few years has been to increase that interaction between the youth out there and the city here. And it was very uplifting to see these young people joining us in really going forward in a statement of we believe in exactly that vision and those values that Dr. King embodied. And so I will have to thank everybody that was part of making yesterday so special. And I want to thank our elected officials here, because we as an elected body and as staff, we here in Brevard are so fortunate because we do embody, and the heart of our community is the vision and the values that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. put forward. And we don't lose sight of that. We will not be intimidated into losing sight of those values. And, you know, we will go forward with the righteousness, with the power of truth. And we will hold to that no matter what happens. And so that is what the message I think our community saw yesterday, because most of us were there. And I think they saw that this community is centered very much on that respect, on love, and on taking care of every single member of this community. And that's what we do day in and day out as your elected body. And that's what staff does. And that's what we'll be doing this weekend when we, under whatever conditions happen, we will be taking care of every single member in this community and making sure that they are all right to the best of our ability. So thank you. It was, I think, a very moving and I think a very necessary ceremony in order to help people understand that there's always hope and there are always things that you can do. And, it is the individuals, it is the community, it is working together that we stand together and that we will stand strongly and move forward. And we will never lose sight of what those values are, because that is what Brevard is. So with that, I think we are having one of our shortest meetings in record here.
Yeah.
And I think it is time to have a motion to adjourn. We don't even have a closed session.
So
Do I have a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.